Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Books and Betches, not to be confused with Books and
Betches.
Ooh. I'm Kristen, and with me I have
Erica.
And Maria.
Oh, and
Jay.
I didn't know if I was supposed to talk yet.
Erica, please introduce our guest today.
Okay, so our guest is the lovely Jay Williams. He's been my best friend. I'm 30 years old. I think we met when we were 14.
That's so sweet.
Very, very hilariously enough, I am an atheist. I'm an agnostic atheist, if you really want to get technical. But we met at Vacation Bible School.
And I've since come out, so, life's interesting.
Oh, this is so sweet.
Jay, thank you for being with us today. This is we've never had a guest in studio.
Yeah.
Yay!
I'm honored.
First of all, welcome. Thank you for being here. If you're watching us over on our YouTube channel, look up Books and Betches and you'll find us. You will see that we are recording this podcast, and we do that now. That's a thing that we do.
We said we were going to do it, and then we did it. We are true
Finally.
to our word.
Yeah, finally, honestly. So you'll see what Jay looks like. He's a really handsome young man.
He's honestly really handsome. That's always happens to me. The handsome ones are the ones I can't have.
It's usually how it works out. If you're listening to us on wherever you listen to podcasts, make sure you subscribe. Please give us a little rate, because I don't know what happens when
I
you
think
rate
it helps.
us.
Does
Does
it
it
help
help?
us? I think. I don't know. I feel like all
Something.
the big podcasters say that.
Yeah, I've been
Give us a
listening.
rating.
I'm gonna give a shout out. I've been listening to Deck the Halls, and it's like a bunch of guys that like listen.
Christmas?
It's a bunch of guys that watch Hallmark movies and talk about it. It's
Stop.
honestly like my favorite podcast
That sounds
of all
very
time.
you.
What are we talking about today, Erica?
Well, we're talking... First of all, happy Pride Month.
Yeah.
Happy Pride, Jay.
Oh, thank you.
Jay's like, it's my life.
I've
Thank
had-
you. It's Pride
I've
Month
had-
every month. Thank you.
I've had so many people just text me randomly, like my former boss's boss, like, Happy Pride Month. And I'm like, why is it only Pride Month that we like can text that? Like, you would never text that in, like, for Women's History Month. Like, Happy Women's History Month to all the women you know. I was like, okay, all right, well, it's because of the rainbow.
We should just celebrate everybody every day.
Yeah. I celebrate you, Jay.
I'm busy. No, I meant it more in regards to celebrate everybody every day. I'm like, I'm busy. Damn.
Also, Zena's here if she's gonna, the normal thing. She'll be
Yes.
bothering people.
Okay. So we are talking about Red, White, and Royal Blue today, which is a male-male romance, which I've never read
Mailman romance.
Male-male.
Male.
A
Sound
mailman
like
romance.
mailman.
I would love a mailman romance. Anybody that's listening, write me a mailman romance.
Okay.
I think they have videos about that online.
Yes. Delivery. Let me put my pack. Never mind.
And it's
Ma'am, this is a Wendy's.
Before you get too far, this is a spoiler podcast. We're gonna spoil. We're gonna swear. We're gonna talk about sex. If any of
If
those
you
things
didn't notice.
offend you,
We're already there.
Step away.
If you're already
This is not
offended,
for
it's
the faint-hearted.
only gonna get worse.
Like a lot worse.
Okay. So Red, White, and Royal Blue, male romance, which is not something I've ever read before, and I know a lot of people do like reading them, even like as a straight woman. So it's just like a genre that people really enjoy right now,
Yeah.
which I think is very interesting.
Yeah, I talked to Garrett about this a little bit, about how like representation in the gay community, like a lot of it is women, like on TV, like you'll see a lot of lesbians, but it's very rare that you'll see like a gay man that is the center of the show or the main character. So it's cool that
And
this
if they
is-
are
I
the main
think-
character, they're usually suffering.
yeah.
I have a theory about that, and I don't know if you want to hear it, but
I
you're
do-
gonna hear it
absolutely.
anyway.
We do.
So I think that societally, women are more accepting to lesbians than gay men. I'm sorry, straight men are accepting to gay men.
Yes.
I think that I'm totally stereotyping and judging, so I could be off base, but I think that in a lot of TV shows and movies, having the check the box of having that gay character tends to be the female, because the straight male audience is more comfortable with that than seeing a gay
Yes.
man,
Especially
and
'cause it's
seeing a romance
fetishized.
come out.
Yes.
Exactly.
So I don't know. Do we just jump into the 60-second?
Well, what's the genre is just romance.
It's romance.
I would call it a contemporary romance.
contemporary romance. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not a reader, so this only came up. I'll admit it, but Erica, I recently moved back from Chicago back to New England, and Erica was like, hey, you need to listen to this book. And I'm like, okay. So I'd visit Erica a few times at the beginning of the year, and literally after a 3.5 hour ride, there were certain parts of the book that I'd be at and stay in the driveway to continue listening because I couldn't get out. And like even re-listening to it, because I listened to it in like January, February, re-listening to it this past couple weeks, even on the way here today, I literally was crying in the car. I'm like, I am so pathetic.
No,
but,
you're not.
I do that too.
So as a non-reader, you've said it.
Yeah,
I'm not being
I
rude.
own it. I own it.
So as a non-reader, what is your stance on audiobooks? Because I feel like it's a
question.
touchy topic. Not everybody cares for audiobooks. I personally love them.
So I've listened to now, this is my third audiobook. So I listened to Hillary Clinton's book, and I left that by saying, and I'm really political, which I'll get into, but so I listened to Hillary Clinton's book, and it was very much so, I don't know if you read the most recent one, but it was nice because she read it. So it's nice like listening to her perspective, and you leave that book having the same opinions you did going into it. Meaning of Hillary Clinton. It's not going to sway you. If you love her, you're going to love her, and if you don't like her, you're not going to like her afterwards. Sorry, I know that's not the point. But what I'm trying to say is I've only 2 out of the 3 that I've listened to are nonfiction. So I actually listened to another one right after Red, White, and Royal Blue about the Supreme Court, and so that one was a little bit tough to get through at points. I was like,
dry.
oof, it was so dry. And now I'm listening to a biography about John Roberts, so that's just
Especially
as dry.
for a non-reader.
Yeah. You dived into some great topics.
So when I tell you I like politics, no, but this was really fun, and I
so
thought
this book probably hits you perfectly because there is politics involved.
yeah. So that's why Erica told me to read it, right? Because 1, check, I'm gay, and 2,
If you didn't know.
and 2, I love politics and political history and stuff like that, and then I also really love the monarchy in Britain and the crown.
This is like the
and
perfect
That's
book
what
for
this
you.
was
like-
minus superpowers or witches. This is the perfect story for me.
it's so sweet.
Yeah,
I
it was-
mean, wish it had
now you
superpowers.
have now you have to do the 60 seconds.
Eric can recommend some of those books for
Yeah.
you. All right, cool. So what we do on this podcast is we do this thing where we explain the plot in 60 seconds. Jay, have you even listened to any of our podcasts?
Okay, so admittedly being a non-reader, even though I support you all and love your reels and Instagram page,
I knew it. Fucking knew it.
the only episode I've listened in full is the Shonda Rhimes episode.
The only one.
The nonfiction. There it is.
All right.
There's the nonfiction.
Okay,
I'm
fine.
consistent
Big
if nothing
Shonda
else.
fan.
Okay?
I'm not thrilled with that response, but I'll
It's
get
an
over
honest
it.
one. Despite my love for politics, I'm honest.
All right, yeah, true.
So the ringers today. This is gonna be great.
I don't even know if we did a 60. We didn't even
we
do one.
didn't do one.
So-
That's why he doesn't know anything
No.
about it.
So Jay, what you're gonna do is explain this entire book plot in 60 seconds. I know you're really nervous about it. I've heard you like vomit like 3 times, so I'm really excited to see how this turns out. So we'll count you in. We'll say 3, 2, and then you go.
And I get multiple takes if I need it.
No. We don't even get multiple takes.
Jay, this is
Okay.
live. I don't know
All
what you're
right.
talking about.
Yeah, well, according to my mother, it is. She's like, where do I listen? I was like, yeah.
As our old coworkers would have called, this is live.
Yeah.
So you gotta
Live.
you gotta.
All right, ready? Here we go. Are you ready? Okay. 3, 2.
Okay, Red, White, and Royal Blue is a coming-of-age book. It's told from the perspective of Alex Claremont Diaz, who is the son of the first female president of the United States, elected in 2016. Personally, would rather see her get elected than the other one. So politics aside, so basically it's a coming-of-age book. So he has this realization. He has this love-hate relationship with the grandson of the Queen of England, and oh my god, I'm already at 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30.
Okay,
There
so
it
they
is.
fall in love. You see it happening from the beginning, and this book is full of twists and turns of both the romantic kind, the political twists and turns. There's a role model that he has that ends up being a sleeper agent for political reasons during his mom's re-election
15
campaign. You see the monarchy in the perspective of one of their own becoming gay. This was really horrible, and a lot of shit happens.
With 5 seconds to spare, we
Honestly,
got
you
this
That
in
was
there.
really-
No, you did really well.
Oh.
You did
Very
really
well.
well.
I was like, God damn it! I was
Considering
like,
the
what do I
track record
say?
of your best friend, like you did really well.
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
Wait, was that a natural and then a bunch of shit happens?
Yeah.
Oh, Jay, I'm proud of you.
Wait,
Thank
or
you.
do you know that that's our thing?
I don't listen to the podcast.
That was natural.
See, so it's not just us. That's like a real thing.
Yeah.
Like you
It
get
just-
to that
yeah,
point and you're
and
just
you're
like,
just
and some shit
Some
happens.
shit happens.
It
I
was
understood.
that
That's
was
why
a
it's
really
our
bad
sticker.
60 seconds. I wish I did it more as a sales pitch. So
No, that was
might be.
fantastic. Okay,
Oof.
so you 3 have read it.
Yeah.
I have
Yes.
not.
I read it a while ago though.
Nothing new there. So this is all new to me. When you said the sons or the son of the president, I was like, oh, sounds fucking cool. I didn't know
Yeah.
that's the American side.
Yeah, so it gives the perspective like right from the get-go, and they talk about they do really well with
Sorry, Erica's causing a freaking ruckus over here.
My
What
thing's going weird.
Go on.
I can't believe how fast 60 seconds just went. So anyways, so it's from his perspective, and he doesn't know that he's bisexual, and it's really interesting because he's not only bisexual but he's biracial. So hearing that perspective throughout the book is really interesting.
Yeah.
And so there's this Prince of England. Think of Harry. It's not related, but his name's Henry, so I'm sure there was some type of inspiration.
Definitely.
And then
So he's
Philip was the older brother.
Yep. So
Oh,
Philip's the
okay.
older brother.
Yeah.
And so you can see that there's, parallels and whatnot. And so he falls in love with not who's the heir to the throne like William is in current or in real life. So anyway, he has magazines of him, and he's like, I can't stand him. Like, just short of a voodoo doll. And then they have this incident that at Philip's wedding, they fall into the $70,000 cake. And
What?
so for PR purposes, the Crown and the White House have them like put out there that like they're best friends. And so they have to like fake this friendship, and then they exchange numbers after this moment. They're in a hospital, and there's balloons popping. Oh no, firecrackers. They thought it was gunshots, so they literally land on top of one another.
They fall a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of falling.
It's a lot of falling.
There's a lot of
They're
gravity.
Falling.
There's a lot of gravity.
Wait, did you say a $70,000 cake?
70,000.
And we
At
just
the
fucking
wedding.
brushed over
Yep.
that shit.
It happened.
They
It
were.
happened.
Was it like an argument? Wasn't it like an argument or something? Because initially, from
I'm not talking about I'm
right,
talking
but
about the fucking
the way
cake.
they fall into the cake.
I don't care. It's a 70,000. We're not talking.
Yeah,
It's
how
It's
big of
part
a
of a
cake is
royal
that?
wedding.
How do you spend 70,000? Was there
Here-
real gold?
Okay, so
Maybe.
I'm never gonna get
my
past
wedding
this.
cake is $700,
That's a lot of fucking money for a cake.
and it feeds like I don't know what 200 people.
For
Okay, all
Tacoma.
right. So but that's like a lot of money square foot.
But that's what I'm saying. Like
Square foot.
how big and how massive does a cake have to be for it to cost $70,000?
I would
Do they
assume it's
explain?
several tiers. Why
But
are
think
you
how many
focused on
people
the
are at
cake?
that
I
wedding.
can't get past the
I don't know
cake.
how many people would be at a royal wedding.
Hundreds.
Sure, Dr. Google could tell us.
Do you think they're gonna
Do
actually
you think
eat
it
the
would be
cake
really big
anyway?
or really small?
The royal wedding?
Yeah.
It was huge. And in the
Massive.
book, it was huge.
Did you read the book?
This was
She listened
pre-COVID.
to it.
I would say I listened to like 60% of it.
Okay, one more question. Did they eat the cake after they fell into it?
No.
No,
I
it
would've.
got ruined.
That's a $70,000 cake. I'm
Well,
eating the
that's
crumbs.
why
but
it
that's why
became
there was
a
a
big
PR
problem.
tour. That was because it was going to be an
70,000.
international
Sorry.
problem.
I think we're a little stuck on the.
I don't think I'm gonna get past this for the rest of the podcast.
I don't know why the cake
Let's move
matters.
on. Let's move on from the cake.
It matters a lot.
To me, what bothered me was them just falling into a closet, and that's where they were like, "Oh, there's gunshots." But
Wow!
like,
All of the innuendos in this, the falling, the closet.
I think
yeah,
they did a really
into
good
a
job.
closet. Like they literally both
Yeah.
went right. Am I right? Am I right? Am I wrong? They went into a closet with
Supply
the
closet.
gunshots, and they like.
Did they come out together?
Cash, the Secret Service guy, who is
Yeah.
one of my favorite characters, actually tackled them into it. It was like,
Into
stay
a
down.
closet. Yeah,
And they're literally on top of each other. And then
Ooh, was there some tension?
In this
Always.
total. And in this moment, we realized both characters love Star Wars. So I was like, God, this book just keeps getting better. And so, they talk about that. And then after this, they're like, hey, if we have to pretend, says to Henry, the grandson of the Queen, he's like, hey, if we have to pretend being best friends, we should probably have each other's numbers. So like a week or two after that, then they start texting, and then you see it.
They
you
did
see
a
that
really good
starting to
job of
evolve.
like slowly making it feel like they are becoming friends.
Yeah.
That's good.
Like I think that was a good like soft like slope into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just going back to the audiobook thing, that was the only thing it didn't like because there was a lot of texting and emailing in this
Ooh,
book.
yeah.
So hearing like the subject line being read out, it's like, I know who it's
Yeah.
from and who it's to.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
need to know this.
But it's written. I've
frustrating.
also listened to this book. I didn't
Yeah.
read it physically, and I enjoyed the email portions of it. I thought that was one of my favorite parts of it. But I get what you're saying.
I
It's
like the emails,
subject
just the
line,
mechanic-
Alex
exactly.
says this.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
Or
like,
no,
That was
like
driving me
Henry
nuts.
poop face emoji.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
HRH
when
Prince
it's one
Henry
of those
poop-
kind of
poop-
things,
Yeah.
is like
emoji.
emoji kind of shit. That's when I'm like, okay. But you have to describe it, otherwise.
yeah,
like,
no. Yeah, it's a necessary evil.
Well, in
Yeah.
the book, is it an actual poop face emoji?
I'm assuming it is, but I didn't physically read it.
Imagine reading this like 100 years from now, and you're like, "What the fuck is a
What's a
poop
poop
face
face emoji?
So, but they become friends, and then how does the actual romance of it start?
New Year's Eve. So
Ooh.
the White
Always
House,
New
the
Year's
White House
Eve.
has this big party, and
Everyone gets
they're
So
drinking
this
and-
mostly happens in America, then.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And so they're so this is the first time after the hospital they see each other, and Alex is like still not understanding what he's feeling towards Henry, and it's like I like feel this way, but I hate him, and like he's so whatever, right? He's so perfect, and it's like boring, and like he starts to see that Henry actually has a personality and is a human, and so New Year's happens, drinking and whatnot, and then Alex can't find Henry, and so he goes out to the garden where he found Henry, and they're talking, and Henry and Alex was saying something along the lines of like, you can probably date whoever you want or whatever. And again, Alex still is not, and it's not on his radar. He might not be straight. And so just this moment happens, and Henry grabs his face and kisses him. Whoa. And the son of a bitch afterwards, like just rock my world, literally a prince, left.
What?
Just left. I was like, what the hell? I was like,
Peace.
first time in the book, you get really mad at Henry. So he leaves. Alex, what the fuck just happened in my life?
Yeah.
So then he's grappling with his sexuality now.
Yeah,
and like,
right. And he's thinking back because he had these experiences with a friend in high school. And it's like,
was the prince openly gay?
Mm-mm.
So the prince isn't openly gay. So the way that I kind of look at both character development is Alex is coming to terms with the fact of who he is in regards to his sexuality. But he talks about it, right? He talks about the fact he was raised by Democrats. His mom is a Democrat. His dad, they're divorced, but he's a Democrat. He's a senator, United States senator. The father is. So he's like, this isn't whatever. Like, this isn't going to be a big thing whenever I do come out. I care about the PR aspect, and like because of the re-election for my mom, and I want to be in Congress. His biggest aspiration is to be the youngest congressperson in
And they're
recent
from
history.
Texas, right? So like
They're
that
from Texas.
matters.
Wow, yeah, matters a
Because
lot.
if you want the red state,
Yeah, exactly. But then Henry's character, he's known for years that he's gay, but because of who he is in the world, he has to come to terms with him. Like, Alex isn't ever worried about the outside world, really. He's not worried about, but figuring out for himself. Henry has it figured out for himself, but then doesn't understand if it's even possible to then have this love in the world.
That's really
Because of
interesting.
his
Or be who he
position.
is.
Yeah,
And be
that's
who he
really
is.
interesting.
So, so fast forward, they find any excuse to meet up with one another. The next time they met up was a state dinner and in the White House, and Alex corners him, pulls him into a private room. They start making out.
they're
Henry goes to
steamy.
his room.
A lot of their like sexual scenes are really like intense.
When I was told it was
People
a coming
loved
of
it.
age book, and I'm listening to it, and I was like, did this just switch to another website? I'm like, it was very descriptive, and I was like, okay.
I mean, it is a coming of age, but I didn't consider it that. I kept hearing it as a enemies to lovers romance, which at first, when I first read it, it didn't register as much with me. Like I didn't feel connected to this book, mainly because I thought the romance wasn't as developed as I'd like it to be. I was like, there's no enemies in the beginning. There was just like barely tolerating. So it was just sort of in like, if you're going to tell me it's an enemies to lovers, it better be enemies to lovers, not like I kind of don't like you kind of thing, right?
Like they
so that's
hate
where
each other.
it didn't sit well with me. And then on top of that, the biracial part of it, I felt like I was very surface level with him being Mexican American. I was just like, you could have done better with that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it was sweet.
Yeah.
I liked it, but I didn't love it. But I did like the steamy scenes. I thought they're like, when they got into like that moment, and sort of felt like when they were apart. So in Henry's in like the UK and Alex is in the US, and it's like, I miss you kind of thing. And then they do all these like emails with things from history, like men in history who I think were had dubious sexuality. So I thought that was very sweet how that is integrated into their love story. So
I thought that that's a fantastic use of like history for a romance that's rooted in politics.
yeah, I think for that, very well done.
I love that.
Jay, how do you feel like Alex's journey as a gay man, was that like accurate in like coming to, or do you think it wouldn't have happened like that, or do you think somebody else's story is like that, or like would you really not know for that long?
So the thing is, a couple things. So first, what I really liked is, I would say, underrepresented might not be the right word, but grazed over when talking about the LGBTQ community is the B. And at one point they literally say the B isn't silent. And because he's bisexual. He's not, he's gay, he's bisexual. Henry's gay. And they talk about that at one point. So I liked that aspect of it because I think that's underrepresented in the community. I thought that it was accurate. I also thought it was accurate for somebody as busy as him. He has so many goals and aspirations. So that's an aspect of life that he's bisexual. And if I was bisexual, and I don't mean to downplay it, but if I was bisexual, I'd probably pursue a relationship with a woman. That's just it would be an easier path, right? Not easier, but it would be the more traditional path. That's the right way to put it. You know, for me in my journey, it took me an active 4 years to come to terms with being gay. And I'm not the son of the president of the United States. So
right, that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
that we have to remember.
I mean, you're under the microscope, anything that you do, right? And they talk about that. So, I think it would probably be accurate. I loved both of his parents' reactions when they found out. So,
what were the reactions?
Yeah, so the president, one of her major aides, she's a major character in the book, and so she walks into the situation, and the first time I cried in the book was actually this character Raphael. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around, but this character Raphael Luna, he is basically this mentor. He's a senator, and he's an independent from Colorado, and both of Alex's parents have been really key to his success in politics. And so it came out that the night of the DNC, that character, Raphael Luna, is going to be the vice presidential candidate for the Republican. And so like all of the family is just like, it is probably the most personal blow they could have taken.
Yeah.
And so Alex is just sitting there. And first time I cried was that he's just sitting there and they talk about him ordering a whiskey. And why whiskey? And then all of a sudden, you just hear this voice behind him order a gin and tonic, and it's Henry. And I was just like, oh my God. How am I doing love? They don't know it yet, but they learn love. And you know what's really weird is like the gay community is not the best for dating, right? And it's definitely not the best for dating if you want monogamy and you don't look like an Abercrombie model. And so, that's been my experience. And I've been in Chicago, which is also, big cities aren't the best for dating.
For anyone. That's for anyone.
I think that I kind of, and this is why I think this book hit me so hard, is I kind of gave up on dating a little bit within myself, and if I'm going to find love. And so, I've been single for a long time.
Me too.
So it woke up something in me that I'm like, oh wait, I could find love. I'm like,
wow, I love
so
that.
when he walks in there and there's that thing, and I don't really relate. There's aspects of both, like Alex can be emotional, and so I'm like, oh, that's like me sometimes. But like, I don't really relate blindly to one of the characters, but aspects of both. So anyways, so they go up to this hotel room. The big thing is they don't ever sleep together. They hook up, but they don't sleep in the same room. And so they get drunk and fall asleep. So this aide to the mother walks in and basically figures it out in the morning because the phone died. And so it's like, hey, by the way, you got to tell your mom now. Ooh. So Alex sits down with his mom, President of the United States, who throughout the whole book I'm picturing who I'd cast in certain characters. For some reason, I keep thinking Sarah Paulson. I don't know why.
I'm obsessed with her,
but
so I take it.
Strawberry Blonde, if she can do a Southern Texas accent, I think she could do it.
Can.
Okay, because I think she can be a boss ass bitch.
I think so.
I really think.
I agree with that.
Erica's right. Like a younger Jane Fonda, she said that. I loved that. But I don't know why I see Sarah Paulson in that role and I see Antonio Banderas as the father. So, right?
I would drink
the babies they'd actually make.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
Right?
I'm in.
So anyway, so he's like, Mom, I'm bisexual. I have to tell you I'm bisexual. And she goes, all right, good for you. Like, I
got shit to do as a president.
Yeah. Like, it was just like, okay. And like, she was supportive and she's like, I'm here. And like, then like had this mom moment. It's like, hey, we didn't really talk about a little bit later in the conversation, but like, hey, we never talked about, with the birds and the bees about like, but you still got to wear and he's like, I get it. And it's like, so it's like, that was fun. But then he's like, after the bisexual, and she handles that like, okay, whatever. And there's more. And it's like, okay. And it's like, by the way, it's the Prince of England. Ooh. And she's like, okay, that's a problem. And his whole goal is to be like on her campaign. Oh my God. And so she goes into crisis mode. She's like, I'm putting something on your calendar. I'll see you in an hour. And like, she comes to that meeting with a PowerPoint and it's like, this is what the problem is. And her big thing is, and this becomes a theme after this point, this is about halfway through. She's like, is this forever? Like, you can't be doing this as a booty call. Is this forever? And if it's a booty call, get out.
Wow.
And like, you need to see, do you feel forever?
That, like, yeah.
And I get it. Like, if we're gonna go through this, make sure it's worth it. And it's not just for you to get a BJ.
Isn't that a lot of pressure on someone who just figured out their sexuality to be like, are you gonna do it forever though? It's like, I don't even know if I'm gonna have my favorite like meal forever. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, like he's 21, 22.
He's 21 to 22 in the book. I felt that way the first time I listened to it. The second time I listened to it, I felt she was coming more from like, what can you control today? And just make sure this isn't a booty call for you. And like, are you serious here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like, I don't think she was, because I took it that way the first time. I don't think she was necessarily saying like, this needs to be forever, period, end of story. Like, and if you ever like, if this isn't forever, I'll kill you. It was more like, where are you at today?
serious.
But
Like,
is
is this
she-
something we're ready to take this on?
is
Because
she
I'll do
looking-
it if you're ready to do it.
Is she looking out for him in that situation, or is she looking out for herself? I guess is the question at the end of the day.
When I read the book, I took her as one of like a very loving mother.
Yeah.
She's very busy
good.
with the political life she chose,
Right.
but very supportive of her kids.
But I do think it would be the same question then if that prince was a princess. Would she say, "Hey, like, is this a serious thing?
I
Are
do
you gonna
too.
marry this girl?" You think
I
like
do
that would
too.
be the outcome?
Because I think any type when you have like that type of relationship like with two countries,
Yeah.
like you're literally
Yeah,
this is like
No, I totally
a PR
agree.
relationship.
Yeah. No, I
So,
totally
and
like-
Alex is trying to be a senator one day.
And imagine they break
Yeah.
up.
So it's
that's
like-
a fucking that's a news
Yeah.
Our
article.
nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
and
totally.
I think that every parent, and not that I can relate, but I think that every parent, meaning I'm not one, but I've talked to my parents. We have a very close relationship. We joke about the fact that they'd have me be married to a woman tomorrow if they could, but I think all of our parents would look for something different to better our lives. And I think that if parents are faced when they, because I have people that are gay in my life that their parents are gay, and their parents still have emotional reactions, and it's because the path in front of your child is going to be a more difficult one. So
Yes.
he's already under a microscope, and then he has to come to terms with being bi, and then he's trying to date somebody with such a public eye.
Yeah.
That's a really
It's tough.
Who
big
also comes
cluster.
with his own baggage because of the position he
Exactly.
has.
So I think it was for her child, but
Yeah.
a little bit for her. Sure, she's trying to do re-election, but never did she throughout the book give the impression that was her priority.
I love
like
that.
later on when it gets leaked it gets leaked, and it's a big controversy that they were together, and the emails get leaked and the photos get leaked. She's like, all right, what's the play? I'm going to follow you. So if this is a
Wow.
forever thing, let's do it. Like, I'll
Yeah.
take down my opponent, not worried about my re-election.
Yeah.
If
That's
this is
awesome.
a
She put
this
him
is
first, which
Yeah.
is very
exactly.
good.
That's awesome.
I really enjoyed the parents of this book. I felt like they were very supportive. Instead of going down the normal path that you would see in an LGBTQ kind of thing where someone, gets disowned and
Do you
puts that
watch-
kind of trauma in there,
Yeah.
it's more so a supportive family that is
Yeah.
there for him, which was great.
Have you watched Love, Victor?
No, but that's the sequel to Love, Simon, right?
Yeah. Oh my god, it's so fucking good. But season 2 just came out, and that's like kind of what he's coming out, and the mom is a very interesting character where he's going back to school, and she's like, you could tell she's not accepting of it at all, but she does the whole like, kids are really mean, so just be careful. Like if you put that information out there, it's out there forever. And it's like she's not looking out for him. She's looking out for like her own, like
Yeah.
the way that people are going to perceive her as a mother. So that was why I asked.
She Latina.
Yeah. Yeah, they're Latina. So just something that I was, but then he's biracial. So who on that side, is it his father that?
So the father's reaction was even better, in my
Oh,
opinion.
I want to hear this.
So they have this, the father has this lake house in Austin area, or right outside of Austin, and they're down there, and it's, there's the White House trio. I haven't talked about them. So it's Alex, and then his sister, so obviously the president's daughter, June, and then the vice president's granddaughter, and they're all in the same age bracket. So the White House trio, so Nora, June, and Alex, and then Henry go to this this lake house with the father. Okay, so they talk about how they're talking about cooking a little bit and their culture. I do agree with your assessment with that, the biracial aspect of the book. There could have been more, but I did like the cooking aspect in this scene. I say scene because I'm so used to movies and TV shows.
We do it all the time.
There's scenes in books.
There's scenes in books.
Yeah.
There's scenes in
Yeah.
books.
And so Alex is just cooking with his dad. They're just chatting, and he's like, "Yeah, Henry's really down to earth for a prince. Like that's really cool." And he's like, "Yeah," just chatting a little bit more, and he goes, "Yeah, it's probably my favorite person you've ever brought home."
Wow.
And they haven't had the conversation. He just knows, and he didn't talk to his ex-wife about it. They have a relationship, but they didn't talk about it
Wow.
because he then asked, like, "Does your mom know how'd she take it?" But he was just like, yeah. And then Nora and Alex had a history. And so the dad was just like, well, she's always going to be my number one. Like Nora's a special place in my heart, which is funny because like growing up and stuff, I have very close, and still obviously Erica, very close female friends that my dad is like very like, it's rare, but Erica could do no wrong in my dad's eyes. So like,
insane.
like she
I just
literally,
looked at Erica's face here, and it was like, yes.
like she
I
literally
have that
accidentally
family.
broke something a couple weeks ago at my house, and we told my dad, and he goes, literally responded, well, Erica can do no wrong, so not a big deal.
Well, I broke it and I was like, well,
I can do no wrong. Like she just knows,
it's
right?
like not that big of a deal.
That would happen with Kristen in my house.
Really?
If Kristen came into my house and like broke something, Mom would be like, "I'm sorry, I was in your way." Me and
love your
Melissa can do
parents.
whatever she wants.
Thank you for breaking that. I wanted to do one.
I wanted to get rid of it, so it's fine.
Yeah. That's
I love-
awesome.
I love
That's
them.
awesome.
That's so
I
funny.
love that.
So the dad was just so like, yeah, I mean, I'm always going to choose Nora. She was amazing and I still love her, but this guy's great. And like, good for you.
Good for
I love
you.
that.
Yeah, and it was just so matter of fact.
I did like
And
that
then-
lake scene. It was very nice.
Yeah, well, and then, Henry's a fucking asshole again and then leaves after Alex.
That's the romance genre, love.
There's gotta
Alex-
be.
There's gotta be
there
the
needs to
That's
be
the part.
twists
That's
and
the part that
turns.
I was in the driveway for.
Oh.
So they're in the lake, and Alex is like, "Fuck, I love this guy, and I can't stop. I can't stop myself from not saying it anymore." So he's like, face in hands, like about to say it. They're in the water, and then fucking Henry just like dives in the water and like swats away some bugs.
Yeah.
And he's like, "This is annoying."
Bastard.
He
and
saw
he's
it
like,
coming though. That's
Yes.
the thing. He was trying to
He was
avoid it
afraid.
because he's going
Afraid
through
of
his
his
inner
external-
turmoil.
Right.
Yeah.
He's afraid of facing this reality that, oh shit, I could find happiness with a guy I've never really thought that could happen. I just accepted that.
Yeah.
And here he is. And so then Henry does something that's very typical in the gay community, which is ghosted him.
Wait, that's like very typical in my life.
What up, Casper?
The last like
Who ghosted you?
no, me ghosting.
I am the ghost. That's why I was asking.
I'm too
You're
direct.
the
I am
ghost.
literally this white
You
because I'm
are-
part
you
ghost.
are Casper. That's
I'm
you.
fucking Casper.
I'm too direct
Sorry.
to ghost guys.
If any men are listening in my past
So
life,
sorry.
I'm so sorry.
One, why would they be listening?
But I
They're
regret
obsessed much.
But I regret
Yeah, right.
nothing.
They miss her. They want closure. They're hoping that they're going to be mentioned.
Now my
This is
boyfriend
your
will
time.
ghost me for like 8 hours, and I'm like devastated on the ground
Yep.
crying. So
Karma's
Karma's a bitch.
Don't
Kristen.
you live together?
Yeah. I need constant reassurance. So how does this book end?
Yeah. So so this is the turning point. And so you think it's like, oh, they're going to love, and then Henry pulls this shit. So he ghosts him for a week, and then Alex is just like, all right, low key, I'm going to show up at Kensington Palace, and so he does.
Not for nothing. That's a fucking insane thing that you think you could
With
just
a
But think about
security
it.
loop too. It's
But
just
no,
like,
because
see the
if you
palace?
think about it, there are two sub characters. So that assistant to the president, Zara, is her name, and there's the British
She's a
counterpart.
badass.
So badass.
they remind me, Zara and the Prince one. I can't remember their name,
Yeah, I
but
don't know,
they
like, is
remind
it
me of
Sean.
Sean. They remind me of the Nana and the butler from Parent Trap.
Yes.
My two
Conspire-
favorite fucking
I-
characters in
Yes.
anything.
Yes.
That's
I
what they
love
remind me of.
that.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
incredible.
That's just always conspiring, getting things done.
I love that. So so I agree that at face value it sounded unrealistic, but one, like, think about the power of the child of the president, and he's like in his 20s. It's not like she's 12, and so the two assistants, for lack of a better term, she's much more experienced. Like, she's really badass. And so, anyways, so they're actually secretly dating. You find that out that they end up getting engaged at the end.
The butler,
And so
yeah.
it would be
Cute.
very easy for her to be like, okay, he's fucking coming. Like, here he comes. You know what I mean? Like, open the gates. And so Sean's there. He brings his Secret Service guy, Cash, and Sean's there. And he's like, yeah, Henry doesn't want to be bothered, whatever. And then, like, Henry shows up. It's raining. It's like, oh, God, I'm crying again.
Of course, it's raining.
And so they
always
have,
raining.
they have this fight, and they're like, and Alex is like, dude, this is doable. We can do this. And so they're like, all right, fine, let's try this. They have this really romantic time. And similar to Alex sharing with Henry the lake house, Henry now shares with Alex certain areas in London that are really important to him. So then it leaks
The
soon
romance.
thereafter, and shit hits the fan. The older brother. So then there's this really cool scene in England, and they have to sit down with the Queen. And the mom, Henry's mom's pretty removed from his life because his dad died, so she's just been in the depression for years at this point. She shows up and was like Mama Bear, and she's like, I'm gonna go up against my mom, who's the Queen of friggin' England.
Wow.
And I'm picturing Anna Wintour for the Queen a little bit, like an older woman, but with a bob, like dark hair, piercing blue
Not
eyes.
Elizabeth.
It's not Elizabeth.
No,
it is
it's
not
very
described
much
as
not
It's a
Elizabeth.
fierce bitch. And
Yeah.
so it's just like, okay. And so she's like, matter of fact, and like they have this big family meeting, and the Queen's like, I know my country, this isn't going to be acceptable. Like, you can't do this, like, blah, blah, blah. And then literally as they're there, Henry's sister gets this notification, and it's like the BBC, like, support, or some media
Daily
saying
Mail.
support. Yeah. And how much support there is around the world and referencing it.
Wow.
And then in this meeting, they open the curtains, and they just have crowds upon crowds, just shy of the amount of people at a royal wedding, supporting them and
Wow.
like waving
I just got the
flags.
chills.
It's
Oh,
beautiful.
girl, I cried this morning listening to it. I was like, oh, I forgot this part. I was like,
It is very like touching, and I think it would happen.
I agree with you, and I think
think it
that's
would.
I
why
think it
it's so
would too.
emotional
Now
for me
it would.
because when I look back to when we were in high school, I was
Would
like, that
not.
wouldn't, right?
No.
And so it
Isn't that
shows the
amazing?
growth of the world.
Yeah.
I
And
kind of want this to be a movie.
oh my gosh, that's I totally
And I
agree.
can see, I can
But
Sarah
it needs
Paulson.
a
It could
good-
be really
it
good,
needs,
too.
It
Yeah.
needs a lot of money, and I say that because you need to do the right sets in Britain. You need to do the right sets
Yeah.
in Washington D.C. You
Yeah.
need to have the. But I think that the author did a lot of because, as I've said, I
lot
like
of
both of those
research.
things. So there's a lot of parallels to the royal family in this book. I think there are a lot of parallels, to Washington D.C. and the things that they reference and talk about. They talk about Maxine Waters. They talk about Mitch McConnell, which
Bitch McConnell.
at one point was referenced as Bitch McConnell. So so they talk about those things. So I'm like, if they have a right budget, I would love to see this be a
I
movie.
think it could be done.
Where
I
is
agree.
the author from? Do we know? It's from America.
Louisiana, I think they said they're
okay.
from.
Okay. So America.
Louisiana. They attended Louisiana State University, but they grew up in Baton Rouge.
I mean, you do have to do a lot of research to get all of that right. Not
Yeah.
only like the sexual aspect of it with two men, the, everything, the biracial stuff, everything. There's a lot that goes into writing this kind of book. Do you feel like they did a really good job? Do you feel like
There's a
at the
reason
end of
why
the-
this book is like taking everyone by the
popular.
masses.
Is
Yeah.
this? Yeah, I've seen this everywhere on Bookstagram.
Since the moment it came out, this has taken the world by storm. And they just got a new release came out. It's called One Last Stop. It is a female romance.
Oh, cool.
And it's sort of like it's like Kate and Leopold says here, but it's like I can't really explain too much because I haven't read the whole synopsis because I hate reading synopsis because I just want to pick up books. But
It's okay,
it's
Erica
sort
will
of
read
like
the
a
end of it
time
for you.
loop. Yeah, it's almost like a time loop
Interesting.
on a subway
Ooh.
train,
Ooh.
and that's all I can say.
I love
'Cause that's
time
all I
loop
know.
stuff, so I'm here for it.
So I think people are really liking that book too.
Cool. That's awesome.
I think I didn't realize that I would like a male-male romance because I didn't know if I would relate to it enough. But I think I realized I just like romance.
Yeah,
It doesn't fucking matter.
it does not matter.
Yeah.
Literally, like, because
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
You love
just
love.
I enjoyed it just as much as I enjoyed any other romance that I've read.
And this is the first like
I'm-
male romance.
I'm surprised you have that not fear, but reservation going into it because of how much support you've displayed. Erica used to for the 4 years she was in my life right in high school. She'd beat people away. Is Jay gay? I don't care. No, he's not gay.
No,
And
I
when
said
came
no.
out,
I
she's
said
like,
no. I said no. I said no.
Really?
And then
Yeah.
Jay goes and fucks his fucking college freshman roommate.
in a Catholic school. We dated for 4 years though.
Hey, no,
wow.
I appreciate
Damn, that's a
it.
long ass
Yeah, so
relationship.
she's like, God damn it, I have to
I
go
was
back.
like, I look like a fucking ass.
Just last week, you saw somebody who graduated high school from, and you talked
Yeah.
about me coming out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So not only are you defensive of your best friend in the world is gay, but you educate yourself. How many candid conversations do we have? How many candid conversations do you have with my other gay friends when we hang out? So I'm a little surprised to hear that you were like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to like this because you can relate it to me. Not to sound
Yeah.
narcissistic, but like you're so,
yeah.
you're
guess
so
I-
of mind of me in my life that.
I guess I
journey.
always thought like I liked romance because I pictured myself as the girl, and you're like you put yourself in that scenario, but I don't think that's the case anymore.
I totally.
That's the same with me with
yeah.
heterosexual romance. I picture myself as the girl because most of the time the guys are pretty hot.
I get what you're saying,
But it's not.
I went to a high school where like nobody was out because a lot of people were judgmental. It's probably very similar to like
We were
the
in New
high school-
Hampshire.
Yeah, we were
Yes,
in New
I was
Hampshire.
in
We
were in New
Connecticut,
Hampshire,
so
yeah.
very similar. I hadn't met. I never knew anybody that was gay except for people in my family until college when I met Garrett.
Yeah.
He was in my suite mate's room with like this girl, and I was like, "Oh, I'll leave you two alone," and like went to like shut the door. He goes, "No, I like men," and I was like, "Oh, me too." And I,
I
didn't
can
think-
imagine Garrett saying that too. I wasn't there, but I can imagine how
he
he
goes,
said it.
No, I like
I'm
men.
gay.
And I was like, oh shit, me too. And then we became best friends, and like that was it. And I never like thought anything of it. But like you said, like I spent the last, however many years having those conversations and like trying to understand just because I grew up in a world where it wasn't talked about and like how far we've come. And now kids that are in high school are finally getting like some sort of, just from social media. It would be awesome if schools would start fucking, sex ed would start introducing these topics. That would be amazing.
God forbid.
Yeah. But it's like, I understand where you're coming from totally. And we both have like a friend that has been dealing with that. But it's just, I don't know. I have a hard time with romance in general. But when it's guy and guy, I feel like I would enjoy it. But I don't know that I'd be able to relate to it either just because men.
And again,
That's just-
Men.
I don't know if I'd like a
Female.
female.
I'm like,
I don't know if I'd like a female romance.
I know
don't
I
know.
would because
But now
women.
I think I will because
For
Yeah.
me, I don't know if maybe we're discussing this on a, like emotional level or a sexual level. To me, this might seem fucking woke or weird, but like love doesn't know gender in my head.
For
right?
sure.
So like if I'm reading a romance, I don't really care if it's male, female.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me. If I can relate to them on an emotional level of like how Alex could be emotional in a weird way or in his own way. I could be like, I'm emotional too. So Alex and I have a connection in that way.
Yeah.
And how he feels towards Henry, I can relate to that, whether it's they're both men or not.
Yeah.
So I do want to read more sapphic romances. Like I want to read more girl ones. I know Girls of Paper and Fire, I believe, is a YA fantasy that has that.
Yeah.
And it's on my shelf. I need to read it. I'm going to start Cemetery Boys this week.
I definitely want to read that.
I'm so excited because, it's like it's going to have magic and witchcraft and...
You might like that, Jay.
Now that I think about it, like Love Victor, I'm so obsessed with their love story. I think I just hate reading romance.
That's probably it.
I'm just very glad that I read this because now I know that I can just enjoy a book for the book and not feel like I might not like it because I might not relate. Like I'm gonna like it.
Do we know if there's any good like non-binary romances out there? Like I would love to pick that up and just see what that's like. We should.
I
more research.
I know of more trans ones, but not non-binary fully yet, and that's just on me because I have to do more research. But I know Felix Ever After is a YA. I know it's a lot of YA ones that I've seen, not many adult ones, and I feel like I appreciate that it's in a YA genre, so more young people can read these and experience that.
I think that this book, I even talked to my therapist, and her son's gay and having a tough time first year in college, so I even recommended this book for her to have her son read. But I think another thing, going back to kind of society, and I'm I hate gender norms, but I'm going to have to use them a little bit in my thought process here. But I think that when you look at a heterosexual couple, who's the one that's wanting the commitment? Who's the one that's wants that next step, right? Tends to be the female. So going into a male romance, you're like, where's the romance going to be? Because guys, it's a hookup culture. It's commitment. Guys don't like to settle down. It's hookup culture. It's always a fear of missing the next best thing. Gay men are horrible. Speaking as one of them, but dating, you'll probably cut that part out. So, but we're horrible creatures, right? Somebody the other day was like, yeah, somebody thinks I'm a homophobe. And I was like, yeah, I'm a homophobe. I'm afraid of gay men. I'm like, we're the worst. So, but it's like going into a male. It's like, well, where's the anchor of this love story going to be? Because it tends to be the female.
But I think it made a lot of sense being two highly politicized people because you would have to make that commitment.
Yeah.
You can't just hook up. And those two people can't just be playboys. Like, the Prince of England can't just be gay and, like, gallivanting around England, screwing anybody who moves.
Well,
why?
It makes it...
Because it's a playboy thing.
Oh.
It makes it feel like, well, we're only falling in love because we can get one another. We understand one another. No one else is ever going to. And I think that was one of the major things that tied them together, was just like, this person blindly gets it that my mom's the president,
Yeah.
And like this
they
publicity.
Understand the life
it's
I
not
live so true.
It's not an actor. It's not somebody that could come and go.
Yeah.
This is, especially the Prince of England. Like, he's always going to be in the spotlight.
Yeah,
even
forever.
Think of the Queen of England now and her grandchildren that aren't from Charles. It's like, we all know princes, all B and stuff like that, right? Isn't Princess? No, it's whatever. It's not relevant. And you mentioned high school and education. One thing, just a quick little story. I don't know, whatever. But I was talking to people the other day, and they were like, "Yeah, like I can't believe the cancel culture and like canceling Dr. Seuss. Who cares about children's books?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I totally agree." And these are conservatives, and I was like, "Total." And I'm a fierce moderate. I'm not a liberal, and so I was having this conversation. And I was like, yeah, I totally agree. I was like, people really freak out if there's two men in love in a children's book, and people really, and I was like, yeah, I really get people being sensitive about books and children's books and like can't handle it. And they went to respond, and they're like, never mind. Like, I have nothing. Like, they're going to be talking about like, oh, we're so sensitive. They're talking about Disney and like Peter Pan and stuff. They're like, I don't get it. And I'm like, I don't know. A bunch of people that are dancing around Native Americans thinking, why are the red man red? I think we might be a little bit more sensitive to that culture now than we were when that was made in the 60s.
Yeah.
So, but I was like, yeah, no, I really get like children's stories being sensitive. People really freak out if there's two men falling in love. I get that. That's really, people are really
so
sensitive.
True. There's so much hypocrisy.
I don't want to go too much into politics, but my problem with the conservative side is that, like, one, I don't feel like they've upgraded their stances on fucking anything in 40 years. But two, it's like what?
No,
Why are you looking at me?
No, I'm loving this.
Like, it just feels like we're still back in like the 70s with them. Yeah. With a lot of their stances on like a lot of the social issues. Yeah. So it's like
a lot of it comes from a book.
Yeah.
A lot of it comes from religion.
Well, for me with the conservative thing with that, Erica, and I think that you're right with some of that, but when it comes to the LGBTQ, especially gay marriage, right? Like, especially gay
And you're
marriage.
like, when are you gonna drop it?
Well, it's like, why are you fighting this battle? Like, you would, if you weren't fighting the LGBTQ community, it's like, you guys know you're also kind of like a marketing machine, right? You want people on your side.
Right.
So, like, why are you ostracizing this group that has nothing to do with you? And if your whole argument is marriage is a problem and, like, you don't believe that's a marriage, then you shouldn't believe in any marriage that exists between two people, heterosexual regardless, that's done by the state and not a church.
Yes.
So that should be your viewpoint.
Fucking preach.
You know,
Shit.
I like respect the hell out of my dad because I've actually officiated weddings, and he's like, yeah, I don't really view them as super married because it wasn't in the church. I'm like, cool, at least you're consistent.
Yeah.
'Cause he's, like,
No,
at least
seriously, though.
he's like, he and I have had disagreements that he would not vote for gay marriage, and I'm like, well, Dad, you're voting against something like for me, right? Potentially, even though I'm single as hell. And so this is a figurative, imaginative world, right? But he's like, you know, I just don't think anybody in the state, you know, whatever. And I'm like, well, what about these people? And he's like, yeah, I don't really think they're married. And I was like, oh, well, at least you're consistent. He's like, yeah, of course they're married, but like, I don't think marriage should be done in the state.
Why the actions of somebody else that have nothing to do with your daily life matters to you.
It literally all comes down to religion.
I
Every
know.
single thing comes down to it's a sacred act between
It's
a
the-
man and a woman.
It's the organized cult.
They're basing it off of a book that was written off of a book that
if
got turned
that
around from
mattered
another
so much
book.
to you, like if that, not that I'm arguing with you about it, but like if that matters
It's
so
insane.
much that you're taking this book and you're taking religion as like it's, you know, holy and that's, you have to live by it, then
Yeah.
just live by it.
I mean, most people
and
who
don't
follow
try
the
to
Bible,
throw it on
follow the
somebody
Bible,
else. Just
pick
be
and
like,
choose, yeah.
hey, if I'm a true believer of God, if I'm like a great Christian and I know I should care about my fellow person, I'm gonna care about Erica and just not care whatever else she does.
Yep.
Just care that Erica's great. Just like, I love you, Erica. You're my sister.
Well, they
That's
always
it.
say, but I hate that argument too, because then they're like, we love the sinner, but we hate the sin. And it's like, then what you're saying is that that person's doing something bad. That's fucking
That
equally
means
as horrible.
you're putting yourself in
as
the position as
saying-
if your judgment matters, as if your
Exactly.
judgment is above.
Yeah, who cares about
gives
what
a
you fucking
fuck what you think.
It's not your job to judge. Like, get out of there.
Exactly.
Have any of you seen, my favorite show in the world is The West Wing? Have any of you seen it?
No.
No, it's
All
a
right,
little
so
too
there's
slow.
a really no, I get it. So just Google the scene at some point, and
Okay.
listeners, but there is a scene, and you literally could probably just Google famous West Wing scene, but it's the president, and he's owning this journalist, and because she's against gay marriage, and this is in the 90s, and she's against gay marriage, and he's like, so do I need to go stone the Washington Redskins? At the time it was the Redskins. Do I need to go stone the Washington Redskins because they touch a dead pigskin? Or do I need to sell my youngest daughter because she
Thank you.
wore clothing of the different cloth?
I have a
So
tattoo,
and he
so
does
that's
that, and
bad.
it's just like, oh, that was so good.
Wait,
It's true. It's
Can we
true.
talk about Danny's wedding ceremony?
Oh my gosh.
So
What?
Danny, Jay, one of Jay's really good friends, the mother of her or her soon-to-be mother-in-law is very adamant about getting married in the church, and Danny is not. They're not religious. They don't practice. So it's very much just the mother-in-law. And Danny was like, okay, yeah, sure, but all of the biblical readings are going to be the parts of the Bible where it's like, women are property and you can beat your wife for doing whatever. Like, so she's
Yeah.
picking out specifically
She's an
the parts of the
attorney.
Bible.
and had a Catholic upbringing. She knows the Bible better than anybody
Yo,
I know.
yeah.
One of two people that
Listen.
knows the Bible unbelievably well.
It's the
I
ones that
lived in
know.
Tennessee for 6 months, and I was going to church. I worked for a really religious company, and I was like, you know what? Let's try it out. Let's see what this is all about. I did the church thing. I tried it. Marie and I have gone to church together, and we've gotten some great things
I
out of
still
it.
get great things from it. I take religion as it benefits me and helps me to be a better person as myself.
What do you call it, Jay? A cafeteria Catholic?
I'm a cafeteria Catholic.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely
What's a
cafeteria
cafeteria
Catholic. I own that. A cafeteria
I
Catholic.
need a definition.
love
I need
this.
a working
I love
definition of a
absolutely,
cafeteria.
I absolutely own this about myself. Some people weaponize this. They're like, you're a Catholic. I'm like, yes, I am. What does that mean? I identify that the Catholic, I am religious. He and I are on a break, as in God. And I get that. It's a relationship, so there's ebbs and flows, and we are not in a good place.
I love
So,
this.
and it hasn't been for a while. But I believe that religion is a personal
She wants to
experience,
be on
right?
you.
And the Catholic, I grew up Catholic, right? But I love the Catholic faith structure. I like the stand, kneel, then the. I've
fucking
been
hate it.
my ex girlfriend was a Baptist, and so it's like the singing and the praising, and then like, you know, communion was just handing around saltines. I couldn't handle that. It was really like interesting culture, but I couldn't handle that. So I like the structure of a Catholic faith. But I'm a cafeteria Catholic, and there are just some things that about the religion that I will leave there and not put on my tray.
Yes.
But I'm like, you know what? I don't really agree with this. I don't
Yes.
believe in this. So therefore, but there are things that I identify as a
There are
Catholic because
things
it's the
that I
religion
take-
that works for me.
Yeah,
And
I
so
like
it's a
that.
personal experience with
I like that
God,
too.
and that's how I view it. And that's actually funny because I was probably the most religious in my life when I was coming to terms with being gay.
Wow.
I was at a Catholic school. I knew there were I went through depression during this. I've had really bad depression. I loved that you did the mental health episode. But I've had really bad depression. My friend told me I normalized therapy. I'm like, yeah, I don't go to the gym, but it's like going to the gym for your emotions. And so anyways, I view that similar to church with your spiritual life as well. So I'd have really dark times and I'd just go to church. And like,
Yes.
there were two
Yeah.
moments in life that I looked up and I didn't yell it out loud, but I would have. And I literally said, I can't handle this anymore. I can't handle this burden, and it's yours and you have to take it. And meaning to God. And I felt really better, and that's when I started to feel
Wow.
resolution that I was gay and came to terms with it, and went through that process. So a lot of gay men though would tell you the opposite. Them coming to terms with being gay, they shied away from the church. It's just later on in life that I'm a little bit on. We're on a break.
I love that. I love that whole explanation. That
Soapbox.
You just
I'm known
yeah.
for a soapbox.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is like you could get away with that. I feel like in Catholicism, if you even mention that in Christianity, it's like God is the truth. This is the truth. The Bible is the truth. And I've heard that a lot in all the churches I went to. I was like, this is the truth and the truth only. And I'm like, this sounds really ignorant because I have no fucking clue what the church, what the truth is, and it'd be really ignorant to me. I feel like it'd be really ignorant if I said there is a God for certain or there isn't a God for certain, because nobody fucking knows. None of us know for sure.
It's
Nobody.
just
So a lot of
That's
people
it.
say that. I mean, that's faith, right?
100%.
Whatever.
It is faith, but
So,
how
like,
are we going to call that truth?
There have been people who have been like, I feel bad that you don't have any faith, like to me, because
don't feel bad for me.
I'm an
doing
atheist.
fine.
I'm an atheist
Live your life.
agnostic,
Live your life and leave mine alone.
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm good.
I'd say yeah. I've gone through
God.
all the stages. I'm right now in my life. I'm agnostic, and I'm just gonna stick with that.
I miss it. I miss feeling religious. I
Yeah,
really
I do too.
I liked it.
You feel
it's
like
just-
part of something.
Yes.
Yeah, not even that, because I like going to church alone. Actually, I don't like going with anybody else.
I liked going with you, Maria.
And
We had fun.
Yeah.
and so I miss feeling that level of faith and belief, and it'll come back. I
Feels
know it
good.
will.
It feels good. Yeah.
It gave me a sense of purpose too.
Yeah.
In some ways.
Yeah. I agree.
So I actually went to, as I said, Catholic school, and I had this one professor throughout my freshman year to senior year, and I took a course, Evolution of Satan. It's the last day of the
Whoa.
course.
I'm
She would
already
never
ready
give
for this.
her.
I want to take that.
It was so good, and that was her whole dissertation. Her doctorate was on Satan.
Oh.
And so
I'm down for
we're
that.
going. It's her. She's the coolest teacher. I had beers at her house once. Like, she's really chill, right? And so I'm going to get pizza the last day. She's buying it for the class, and so because mostly seniors and juniors. And so I'm like, so the whole point of this class is we're talking about, is Satan good or bad? Because Satan in the Bible is, supposed to be tempting humans on God's behalf to see who's worthy of the kingdom of God. And so I'm like, do you think Satan's good or bad? And she, mind you, first semester freshman year, second semester senior year, I've had this teacher, and this professor was in my life very actively throughout all of college.
Mm-hmm.
All three of my religious courses were taught by her. She goes, that's not the right question. I said, do you believe there's a Satan? She goes, that's not the right question. I said, do you believe in God? She goes, no, that's the right question.
Wow.
So you have someone for 4 years teaching you about God, and then at the very end go, I don't know if he's real. I'm like, God damn it. I was like, maybe that's why I'm on a break.
On that note.
Yeah.
Oh,
Damn, this is
gosh.
such a good discussion. I love talking about this.
So going back, just to circle back, if I may.
Yeah.
So the book ends with.
To the actual.
I just felt like I didn't answer
Plot
the
of the
question.
story.
So the book ends. So they took there was this the leak. The political scandal was that senator that went to be the VP for that the Republican was actually a sleeper agent and was looking, because there's history between him and that person, that the Republican
Was a sexual
nominee was
predator.
a sexual predator from when
Whoa.
he was an intern. And so he wanted to get him back somehow, and so he found the files that the Republican campaign was actually behind the leaking of the Alex, like there were PIs following them and stuff,
Not surprised.
and that's what outed them. And so, and I think there's evil on both sides with politics.
Duh.
And so, that just seemed very Richard Nixon-esque, this whole storyline with relating it back. So, so anyway, they grabbed the narrative. You like Raphael Luna at the end, because he was really on their side the whole time. Alex does a briefing in the press briefing room, and then the queen comes around, kind of. I loved Henry's mom stepping up and being like, fuck this, I like whatever, I know what love is and I want my son to experience it, so I'm gonna fight my mom. And it's like, I'm sitting there like, can you imagine like talking back to the Queen of England, even if it's your mom?
Right.
And so
Probably
Yeah,
sound
so
like,
she-
that's my son.
yeah.
A little bit more proper.
I actually thought the
was trying-
The narrator was
orator
good.
was really good with voices
Yeah.
throughout this. Everybody had distinct voices. He was really good. And so the scene that really you ask the ending, and the scene that sticks out to me is the victory on stage the night that they announced that the president was reelected.
Wow.
And
they
Henry and Alex,
turned Texas blue.
Yeah, they turned Texas blue.
Damn, I just got the chills again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Red, white,
which
royal
towards the
blue,
end,
baby.
after like the main romance was like a big plot point too towards the end, but I felt like the main focus was turning Texas blue.
The last chapter.
The last,
Yes.
yeah, the whole
Yes.
the whole end of the book was just turning Texas blue, and that whole like change of how amazing this whole process.
that happened?
be.
Texas
still
was
red?
very close to
This year.
to
This
being
year.
That's what I was
blue
gonna
this
ask.
year.
Which is why I
And
was
it
like,
was
wow,
2020 in the book too, so it was actually kind of
very,
creepy.
Wow.
Very close.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
I just don't remember.
I mean,
I
it was
blacked out
the
that night, I
closest it's
think.
ever been.
But anyway.
for that state.
It was a good book.
This
Which
is-
I think
this
everyone
is-
should read it.
This is awesome. I don't know if anybody has any recommendations on any.
I think we should read
Boyfriend
Boyfriend
Material?
Casey's next one. Boyfriend
Oh.
Material, yes. If you want more of like a grungy UK based only kind of red, white, royal blue, Boyfriend Material it is. It's for fake dating. Our main guy, he works for a nonprofit. He's sort of like a mess as a gay man. And so
Perfect for you,
his
Jay.
boss is like, look, either you fix your image or we're firing you.
Yeah.
And so he goes and sort of starts dating a guy that he knows is sort of like a Henry, sort of like the same thing. He's very proper, very prim, and he's also a gay man. And it's like he's looking for a fake boyfriend to bring to events or something like that. So they both like, oh, let's fake
Maybe
date.
I should do that.
Yeah.
My life's only messed with my
I've-
love life. The rest of it's all right.
The rest of it's fine.
So then it turns to fake dating, and then they.
all right. Well, don't give anything away.
I mean, it's a romance.
What's the other? Well, the Felix one.
Felix Ever After is a YA. It's
Yes.
a trans boy in high school. His dead name gets thrown everywhere, and it's sort of like traumatizing. But then he puts it upon himself to find who did it and get kind of revenge. But it's sort of a coming of age story,
Got it.
and his as well.
Got it. Erica, any?
I mean, Boyfriend Material is on my TBR list right now. So
Yeah.
that's my main one. I can't think of another one though. I'm bad with.
There's so many.
I don't read, so here I am on my book podcast. Jay, have you read any other? No, you don't.
He's
read.
also a non-reader.
Also
I can
a
recommend
non-reader.
a book about the Supreme Court. It's called The Nine
I'm gonna go
by
ahead and pass.
controversial figure Jeffrey Toobin.
I can't
Don't know
believe
who that
you
is.
love politics.
You don't know
so
who
much.
Jeffrey Toobin is?
I'm very bad with names.
Oh, in October, he was a major CNN commentator, but also worked for the New York something or another newspaper.
New York
and
Times?
they had a break. No, not the Times, but something else. And they had a
New York Post?
They had a
Stop.
maybe. I don't remember. But he was caught masturbating on a break on Zoom call.
Oh,
So,
that guy.
yeah,
Okay.
Nice.
But he's coming back.
He wasn't
CNN
like
just
doing
had
it
him on
in front of a
recently.
bunch of women who didn't want him to.
Yeah, no. It was an accident. It was
So
a
he was
Zoom
just doing
call
his thing.
accident.
Leave him alone.
Yeah, on a Zoom call. No.
But
Oh, on
that's
the
kind
Zoom
of the
call.
that's
yeah,
kind of
did
the
you miss that?
yeah. But I think that people make mistakes, and I think that could happen.
Jay.
You masturbate
What?
at the wrong time, and it's just a
Yeah.
mistake.
I'm
you can
sorry.
just stop. Like you can just take a break. There's a camera on you.
I get it, but I mean, I think we've all had moments where we're like, crap, I'm not on mute. I thought I was. That was just a really extreme example.
I've definitely farted on a Zoom
God, you
calls
would.
and been like,
I want to clip that off.
Oh my god.
I don't think that
I
my.
want to clip that off and only do. I definitely farted and just put that everywhere.
I wonder if people heard it though. You know what I mean? Like
They did.
Sometimes they do, or you don't know.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Jay, thanks for coming.
Thanks, Jay.
I hope I
think-
did all right for your first in studio guest.
You did
I think you did
This was a
amazing.
huge
I think
honor.
we had great
I loved
conversation
it.
today.
I'm like debating if I want to make this like a season 1 finale, end on Pride Month.
We're on season 2, honey.
Fuck.
It could be the season 2 kickoff.
Should this be the season
No,
2?
we are in season 2.
finale.
I think so for the end of June.
For the end of June.
Might-
Pride, we
yeah.
end on Pride Month.
We end in
Yeah, this is a good.
yeah.
Although Erica's been telling everyone on the stories that this is the next episode.
I've been saying it's going to be one of the next couple episodes.
We're
we
really
have to
bad
I do
at
post
think it
this
should come out in June.
It has
No
to.
pun
Oh,
intended,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it should
yeah.
come out in June.
I think we're almost at the end of June anyway, so might as well.
All right, season 2 finale.
It's
You
not.
heard it here first. Wait, what?
Good luck with editing if that's
yeah,
not what happens.
good luck with editing.
Thank you everyone for joining us. If this isn't the season 2 finale, I'm a piece of shit. And
Follow us on Instagram.
Make sure you follow us on Instagram. That's books_n_betches, BETCHES. And follow us on YouTube, Books and Betches.
We're now on TikTok, Books and Betches. I guess
she made it.
Yeah, I changed
we
my
didn't fucking
personal.
discuss that.
We did in the group chat.
Look us up on TikTok, I guess. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Bye.